Assalamualaikum and greetings everyone. So back in our presentation, today I'll be sharing you an insight with the topic of a greener tomorrow, why we must act today. So firstly, let me introduce myself and my group members. Firstly, my name is Putrina Alisha Amira binti Muhammad Firdaus. The second speaker will be Nur Shamira Balkis binti Muhammad Farid. And the last speaker will be Nur Anis Sufiah binti Anwar. So, of course, before we want to jump right into the topic, I need to briefly introduce to you about environment. Do you notice how the environment surrounds us? And do you care about the environment? No? If not, then I advise you to start taking care of our environment. But why? So, as you can see, the environment is everything that surrounds us. You know, the air that we breathe, the land that we live on, and the ecosystem that supports all life on Earth. So, the Mother of Earth provides us with food, shelter, energy, and beauty. But sadly, the environment is greatly impacted by the human's lifestyle. And that is why I shall present to you, and my group members shall present to you how and what is the benefit and the importance of environment for our society. So next, I will show to you about the problems that we are facing today, which I call the reality of today's society. Firstly, there are extreme weather. Even Malaysia is famously known as a country with a really extremely hot weather. But if you haven't noticed, during from March to May, Malaysia actually facing an extremely hot weather during the year. So during these parts of months, usually our society, our citizens will face the problems of fevers, dry coughing, which is really bad and concerning. Next, we have global warming. Due to extreme weather, it greatly impacted and leads to global warming. Global warming is actually the main problem of our environment. Why? So, fun fact, over 1 million species are at risk, and humans are not excluded from this problem. And in my opinion, this demands urgent action. So next is air and water pollution. If you remember, in 2015, Malaysia faced a really severe haze problem, which causes the schools to shut down, and every operation, economically or business, or even the health minister tell us to shut down every operation because the citizens at that time are facing breathing problems, eye irritation, and even the people that are having asthma is really greatly impacted due to this problem. So I must say, because of pollution, many species are endangered. Maybe air pollution is impacted to humans, but then water pollution is impacted to the fishes, you know, because sometimes we eat our fish. The fish is from the water, but if the water is impacted by oil and fuel, then it is actually dangerous for humans to consume. Lastly, we have deforestation and loss of biodiversity. As we all know, the more year that we went through, of course, the technology are really upgrading. But due to the upgrading of technology, we shall do deforestation. But do you know that forests actually may play a crucial role in our society? I will tell you about how the trees plays a crucial role in our environment next. But first of all, I must show you why we must act now. Why not later? Why not 2 to 3, 5 years later? Right? Have you ever think of that? Of course you ever think of that. So I think we must act, and we must act fast, we don't need to act slowly, because we have almost billions of people living in the mother of earth. So if every single of one of us plays a role or contribute to this environmental problem, of course this problem will be done fastly. Firstly, we need to protect our social resources. Imagine the life without water and food. Do you know that 70% of our body, human body, are partly involving water? So without water, humans are actually greatly impacted. Next, we have irreversible consequences. So, as in case you haven't noticed, environmental damage is reaching tipping points. If we act later on, I believe that our nature, our environment are at risk of extinction at that time. Thus, that is why we must act now. Lastly, we have the choices we make today directly impact the world that future generations will inherit. That is why I am presenting to you about the environment, because I want us to act today instead of later, because we want to give our generation a better and stable environment and surroundings better than us, right? So next point is economic impact. Natural disasters and climate events are causing billions in damages, destabilizing economies worldwide. Why? The main problem of our environment is the rising temperature and erratic weather patterns can reduce crop yields, affecting food production and increasing food prices. Even today, in 2025, the economy we are facing right now is poorly bad management, if I tell you, because the prices, if we look back, okay, let's take an example of an egg, right? Today's egg is 12 ringgit for a carton of great big egg. But if we maybe take a look at 10 years back, it will actually only cost you about 7 ringgit. So this is what we call inflation due to natural disasters and climate events. Thus, that is why I think environment show the major focus in our society. Next is health hazards. So health hazards, pollution is linked to asthma, heart disease and cancers, threatening human well-being globally. Other than that, I want to share you a fun fact. The rising sea levels, people think it's like, oh, this is going to affect the Antarctica, but some of the countries actually badly impacted by the rising sea levels, because some of the countries actually below the sea level. So if the sea levels keep rising, they might need to migrate to other places. And last but not least is it's not too late, right? But as now, we can mitigate the worst effect and shift towards a more sustainable future. And if we do act now, the risk of losing our future are reduced. So next, as you can see, there are 6 pictures I'm showing you. Just right in the introduction, I told you that environment is our essential resources. Firstly, as we can see, the first picture at the top of the left slides is 2 women holding a plant. So this plant actually plays a role as our food. Next, we have them eating our fish and using the water to wash our clothes. Next, we can see there are fishes and then there's a man trying to get his fruits. So as you can see, fruits and plants plays a crucial role in our economy, and our citizens in rural areas really depending on their plants. Next, we call that water rafting. That is So as you can see, the water is really clear, have a really peaceful view. So this can actually be a traveling option. So even you can see that it's not just a resource of food for humans, but it actually plays a crucial role in economically. So next, I'm going to show you a picture. So what does this picture shows? Anis, can you answer for me?
I will answer the top part of the picture, can?
Yes.
So, the top part is showing our Earth that has been polluted by gases and carbon emissions. As we all know, we have so many pollution right now that has so many sources. So that's kind of sad for me.
Great, Anis. What about the below part of the picture, Shamira?
If earlier Anis already talked about the top part, so I think I will talk about the below part of this picture. Basically, from my perspective, I think our Mother Earth itself is more beautiful than all those pictures above, because if we put aside the pollutions, we can see how heavenly our Earth. So I think this is the future that we need to imagine, and I also think that we need to start to take action right now if we want our Mother Earth to become
Like that picture.
gracefully like that. So I think that's all from me.
That's really great, guys. How about we give you guys a round of applause? Next, I'm gonna move to the importance of a healthy environment. Just like I said just now, why should I present to you about environment? Why should I present to you about the effect of the environment to our humans? It's because the importance of the healthy environment to our society. Firstly, let me talk about ecosystem services. A healthy environment provides vital ecosystem services like pollination, water purification, and soil fertility, which is essential for life. But unlike the past, today's environment is facing greater threats. Imagine the plants dying, like the air is not that clear for us to breathe. Even as we breathe, we feel pain in our lungs. That is how bad our environment is facing the threats. Next, we need to protect plants and animal species. Those trees out there that we see is actually the home of thousands of plants and animal species. If we keep on doing deforestation, how about them? Should we just think about our benefit, ourselves? That is very selfish, because this is not just us living in this earth, but there's a lot of other species living. So a healthy ecosystem supports the survival of species while maintaining their natural habitats. As you can see in Malaysia, our so-called harimau Malaya is actually at the risk of extinction. Lastly, environment regulates climate and weather. How so? Then I shall explain to you in the next slide. As you can see, how does trees play a crucial role in our environment? I will tell you right now. So, let's see here. We can see that here, reduce noise by 50%. If you haven't noticed, in Kuala Lumpur, the city we are living in, if you are sleeping at night or even in the morning where you get busy, the sounds of cars, ambulance, construction site is working is much loud than in rural area. Even though they are really far away, like 3 kilometers away, but you can still hear it very loudly. Why? Because in urban area, the amount of trees are rarely seen. Even in our surrounding right now, we can actually count the trees. That is a very fun fact. So I believe in cities, we need more of these trees. Next is enough oxygen for a family of 4. One tree is capable of deliver oxygen for a family of 4. From theoretically, the tree needs sun, carbon dioxide, and water to produce oxygen. And as you can see down here at the slide, one person causes about 10 tons of carbon dioxide to emit a year. Imagine the carbon dioxide I am releasing right now, and there's no trees to accept the carbon dioxide and process oxygen. Imagine how many carbon dioxide will be released into the air. Of course, it will be very dangerous. The carbon dioxide levels in our air will be very dangerous for us humans. And then, maple trees can put as much as 20,000 gallons of water into the air each day. How interesting is that? We can see that trees is just a green thing that are living out of nowhere, but actually, it is much more than that. There is more. So next, we're going to move to causes of environmental degradation. I will pass that to my next speaker, which is Tommorow. Before I end my stations, does anyone has questions?
Can I
Yes,
ask a
Ani.
question? So, we as
Yes, Ani.
students, what do you think we can do to help protect the environment?
So your question was, what can we do as students to help the environment? So to answer that question, I believe students are young youth that has a lot of energy, right? You guys rarely get tired, right? So I think you guys can start small just from you guys' school. But how, teacher, you must ask? So I believe you guys can start by dividing the rubbish that you guys have in the schools into 3 sections. You guys know the recycling points. There are glass, water, and paper. Because recycling actually really contributes something to our environmental problem. And you guys can make sure that our classroom is clean and have a little project of planting plants in our school. I believe that will make our schools much more prettier and have a cleaner air to breathe. Next, Shamira,
Madam, may I ask?
do you have a question?
What would happen if we continue to ignore these environmental problems?
Well, what would happen if we continue to ignore environmental problems? So just like I said just now, our future generation will be facing huge problems. Imagine you guys, children's age like you guys, surrounding with bad air. They will be wearing masks and having eye irritation. They are learning they are with badly environment. Of course, they're gonna have a bad education system than us. You guys can learn freely and peacefully and harmonious in here. But imagine if the environment is badly poor. Of course, your guys' education development will be really bad. And I, as a teacher, are really concerned about that. And of course, our economically, everything will be greatly impacted to our society. Thus, that is why we must act today for our environment. And my next speaker will present to you about the causes of environmental degradation. That's all for my part. Thank you.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Tommorow, and gladly, as the second speaker of this team, I will be continuing the presentation by explaining the causes of environmental degradation and a few solutions that we can take to address this matter. So I will read from my slide here. Basically, I already listed 4 main causes to our environmental degradation. The first one is pollution, and then we have deforestation, climate change, and lastly is overconsumption of resources. Okay, so without further ado, let's begin with the first cause, which is pollution. Okay, basically, going through in this modernized era, we can see how our industrial expansion has brought many developments, evolutions, and everything goods in this era, but it also brought we put aside those good effect, but it also has dramatically increased pollution levels. For instance, we can take from factories. So basically, factories currently are releasing large amounts of gases and waste into the environment. So as a result, air pollution has become a major health hazard, basically causing respiratory diseases like asthma and lung infection. So I think that is really bad especially for a human being like us. Not only that, but we also have water pollution. Water pollution is another serious issue. When untreated waste is dumped into the rivers, lakes or oceans, it basically destroying our marine ecosystem, killing fishes and harming our biodiversity. Today, it's estimated that around 3 billion of people are affected by this matter, which is environmental degradation, linked to pollution itself. So, to sum up, this clearly shows that pollution is not just an environmental issue, but it also affects to many aspects such as marine, flora, fauna, and especially to human beings like us. So next, I'll move on to the next slide. Deforestation. So if you guys can see, I already put it there. We'll read the pie chart from the bottom part first. So basically, every year around 10 million hectares of forests are lost. That's an area of South Korea, size of South Korea basically, disappearing from our earth annually. That's really bad, isn't it? Do you guys get it? So next, forests are actually crucial because they absorb carbon dioxide and help regulate the Earth's temperature. So there are 20% of decreased carbon absorption, which is really bad. And the next one is 30% of increased carbon emission. So if we lost our forests because of urbanization or logging or what, we actually lost a vital part of our natural defenses against climate change. Moreover, deforestation actually leads to habitat loss for countless species of flora and fauna, pushing many towards extinction and weakening entire ecosystem. You guys know, right? Basically, harimau Malaya, which is a symbol of Malaysia itself, are starting to extinct. So without wasting time, I'll move on to the next one. We have climate change. The third cause is climate change itself, which is both a cause and consequence of environmental degradation. So if we're looking here, since the pre-industrial era, the global temperature has risen in about 1.1 degrees Celsius. This actually increase may sound small, but it has huge impacts, especially to our Mother Earth itself. And currently, we are witnessing the melting of ice caps and rising of sea levels, threatening coastal communities. And lastly, we have extreme weather events like floods, droughts, and hurricanes are becoming more frequent and intense, affecting food security, water supply, and human daily life. So you guys can imagine here, climate change is a clear warning that humans' activities, which is an act from our hand itself, are pushing the planet system to their limits. So basically, our Mother Earth is suffering right now because the human's hand and act itself. And lastly, we have the last cause, which is overconsumption of resources. And the first one is our heavy reliance on fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas releases large amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Do you guys get it? Like these gases trap heat, causing global warming and further accelerating of climate change. And another problem is plastic. You know what? Plastic is really an essential issue for now because plastic, which are made from fossil fuels, are polluting our oceans. They actually entangle with our marine biodiversity. They are causing many harms to our marine animals, and over time, they are also biodegradable. So they actually break down into microplastic that enter our food chain, human food chain, threatening both wildlife and human health. So in addition, human activities are putting about, from what I did my research, human activities are putting about 1 million species at risk of extinction, just like what I mentioned in earlier slide. It's harming both wildlife and human. And to sum up, pollution, habitat destruction, and climate change are destabilizing ecosystem, making them more fragile and less able to support life. Do you guys get it? So it actually linked to every aspect of life in this earth. And finally, the loss of forest means that less carbon dioxide is absorbed from the atmosphere, contributing to even further more global warming. So not only we have pollution, climate change also are getting more close to global warming, serious level. So what are the solutions? What are the ways that we can take to address this? Now that we've discussed the causes, I'd like to share some simple yet powerful solutions we can practice to reduce our environmental degradation. So I already put the first one is 3 R's. We can start to practice 3 R's tips. First, we can follow the 3 R's principle. Reduce. We should use the first one is reuse. We should use reusable items like bags, bottles, and containers instead of disposable ones. And the next one is avoiding single use. Plastics like straws, utensils, and packaging can significantly reduce plastic pollution. In addition, practicing recycling at home or at school, at university, or everywhere in our communities helps to cut down on waste sent to landfills, easing the burden of the environment. So yeah, for example, if you guys have water bottles, please reuse it. Reuse, because it can extend the life of it, the life of that item. You guys get it? Yeah, so you don't need to buy a new one. We don't need to overconsumption for every matters. And second way is we should start to conserve water, because now water is becoming more increasingly due to climate change and overconsumption. You know what? Simple actions like turning off the taps or using water efficient appliances like low flow shower heads and something like that can make a big difference. So because every drops that we save helps protect water supplies for future generations. So based on what we do today is what can be happen in the future. So in conclusion, environmental degradation is caused by combination of pollution, deforestation, climate change, and overconsumption of resources. However, by making responsible choices such as practicing 3 R's and conserving water, each of us can play a part in healing the planet, healing our Mother Earth itself. So I think that's all from my part. I already explained 4 main causes of our environmental degradation, and I already explained 2 solutions to address this. I'll pass to my next teammate, Sunny Sophia. But before, alright class, so since I already done with my part, so before moving on to my next teammate, which is Annie Sophia, I would like to have like a quick and brief session of Q&A. So anyone that isn't clear with anything related to 4 main causes of this matter and that's two solutions to address this. Just raise up your hand and ask me anything, okay?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Anis. Yes, go
So
ahead.
about this topic, how does deforestation can contribute to the climate change?
Oh, what a great question, Anis. So she asked, do you guys hear what she asked? In what ways does deforestation contribute to our climate change? Isn't it, Anis? Alright, so let me answer quickly. Basically, deforestation contributes heavily to climate change, mainly because forests act as natural carbon sinks. So if anyone here study biology, so when trees are cut down or burned, not only do we lose their ability to absorb carbon, but the carbon stored inside the trees, which is our flora, is released back into the air. Do you get it? In addition, this will increase the concentration of greenhouse gases, trapping more heat in our Earth's atmosphere and making global warming worse. So I think with our research from World Health Organization, I already did my research last night. Without forests, the balance of nature is disrupted, so it can lead to our soil erosion, loss of biodiversity, and changes in rainfall patterns. Over time, all of these effects make the impacts of climate change, like extreme weather events and rising temperatures, even more severe. That is why we need to start to take action right now, guys. And I think our biodiversity in the future depends on our act today. So, does that answer your question, Anis? Do you get it?
Yes, thank you.
No problem. Alright, one more question before we end our session with me.
Teacher, I also have a question.
Go ahead, Alicia.
How does practicing 3Rs reduce environmental degradation?
Alright, so she asked me how can practicing 3Rs help reduce our environmental degradation. What a great question. So basically, when we reduce, we lower the amount of waste we created in the first place, especially harmful items just like plastic. So reusing items like plastic, aluminium and whatsoever extend your life and prevents unnecessary consumption of new resources. So basically, if you guys bought plastic, just reuse over and over again without you need to buy it again. Do you get it?
Yes.
This can save energy and reduce pollution from production processes from factories. So, Alicia, next step is, I think you mentioned reusing, right? No, you mentioned recycling. By practicing recycling, this helps to lower pollution, conserve natural resources like trees, minerals and water, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions from manufacturing. So by practicing these three aspects, and also you can start to reduce our sources, like other than plastic and aluminium, you can also start to reduce paper and whatsoever, because this can actually teach us how to reduce the use of greenhouse gases emissions from manufacturing. So by practicing 3Rs, we create a circular economy that supports sustainable living and reduces the harmful impacts of human activities on the environment. Just like what I said earlier, based on what we do today is what can be happen in the future. So yeah, I think that's all for the Q&A sessions and my presentations. So I hope you guys understand. Let's move on to the next teammate, which is Ani Sophia. Let's welcome her. Bye. Thank you.
Hi, and greetings everyone. My name is Nur Ani Sophia Anwar. Now, I am still on the topic of the ways to protect the environment, but I will continue to introduce another actions that can be done by individuals, governments, and businesses. Okay, first of all, if you look at this slide, it says switching to renewable energy, right? So why does this related to environmental protection? This is because renewable energy can be said that it can produce little or no carbon emissions compared to non-renewable energy that we use nowadays. And this is the key to slowing climate change and protecting natural resources, and also to build a cleaner and healthier future for everyone. But what can you actually do to support this idea? First, you should choose green energy providers when available, for example, solar panels and solar roof. But as we all know, not everyone can afford to install solar panels or solar roof due to its cost. So what can you actually do is just by supporting whatever clean energy initiatives that are held in our communities. Next is reducing fossil fuel dependence, especially for transport, because it is proof that transport is a major source of carbon emissions. And the actions that can be done by us individual is by using public transportation, carpooling, or switching to fuel-efficient vehicles. And not to be surprised, even something as simple as walking or biking for short distances can reduce our reliance on fossil fuels significantly. Furthermore, one of the most powerful actions that we can take is to plant trees. Why trees? Okay, this is because trees are able to absorb carbon dioxide, restore natural habitats, and improve the air quality. And you may think that it is just a simple act, right? But can you imagine every single one here or every single one on the earth planted just one tree a year? What a huge impact, right? Okay, moving on to the next action, which is supporting sustainable products. Supporting sustainable product, what can you do to achieve this? Okay, first, even you as students, you can buy organic produce, eco-friendly goods, and supporting companies that prioritize sustainability. For instances, we should buy reusable water bottles that is made of stainless steel or glass instead of the disposable plastic ones. Also, we should buy the biodegradable packaging like boxes that is made from recycled paper or compostable materials. And by buying the products, it will tell the business parties that we as consumers value the environment too, and along with that they will listen because their survival depends on us, right, as the buyers and consumers. Okay, we can move on to the next point. And we have discussed that individual actions are crucial and important. But did you know that governments and businesses also play a major role? Okay, let's see. Okay, government have the major right to implement new policies. So what can they do? They can create and enforce environmental policies, for example, for the carbon emission reduction that we have discussed, and the natural resources protection. And furthermore, they can also join international cooperation For example, the Paris Agreement 2015, where countries agreed to fight the climate change together. Okay? Along with that, businesses also play their role by shifting towards sustainable practices. This means that they have to change how they produce, how they transport, and how they sell goods. And they have to keep the environment in mind at every step. Okay? And when governments create good policies and businesses follow sustainable models, real change can happen much faster. Next, we have come to an end when it says conclusion. And now, I will restate about the key points that we have covered throughout the presentation. First of all, my friend Alisha has covered about the importance of the environment, including where the environment provides air, water, food, and it regulates climate. And it is all crucial for our life. And next, my friend Shamira has covered about the causes of environmental degradation, including human activities such as deforestation, pollution, overconsumption of resources, etc. Along with that, she covered the consequences of environmental damage, including the climate change and the risk of extinction. Last but not least, I have covered about the actions individuals, government, and businesses can take to protect the environment, such as reduce waste, conserve water, support renewable energy, use public transport, plant trees, support sustainable product and companies, and also the role of government and businesses parties. And to conclude, protecting the environment is not optional, but it is essential for the survival of all living beings, the sustainability of vital resources, and the health of future generations. Without urgent action, the damage could become irreversible, affecting human well-being and global stability. So we hope that together we can create a world that is greener, cleaner, and stronger for everyone. And that's all, and we will continue with Q&A session.
Oh, madam. Actually, I'm very curious. Which steps and actions are the most effective for individual?
Okay, for your question, I think planting trees and reducing the use of single-use plastic are the two most effective actions individuals can take to protect the environment. Because planting trees directly addresses the issue of rising carbon dioxide level by absorbing carbon from the atmosphere and help to slow down the effects of climate change. At the same time, reducing single-use plastics tackle the growing problem of plastic pollution, which harms the marine life, pollute ecosystem, and you know that plastic takes hundreds of years to break down, right? Okay, but however, beyond this action, I think we as an individual can raise awareness among ourselves by educating others about the environmental issue and the importance of eco-friendly practices. And when one person's action can inspire families, friends, and communities because we have the same goal, crucial because spreading knowledge and passion for the environment can multiply the impact even more.
Teacher, I also have a question. You know, as students, I'm really curious. How can students and young people help to protect the environment?
Students can have a lot of potential to make real impact when it comes to protecting the environment. One way is you can join or create environmental clubs in your school or in your communities where you can work together on projects and raise awareness among your peers. And you can also planting trees and make events, planting trees to help restore green spaces and teach others about the importance of trees in fighting climate change.
Another step, please.
Another meaningful step. I think reduce waste at schools, such as promoting recycle programs and encourage the use of reusable items and cutting down on unnecessary plastic use. And you can educate your classmates through talks, poster, or just your simple daily conversation. You can also spread eco-friendly habits. Last but not least, you are Gen Z, right? So social media is a powerful tool for young people. So you can share tips, facts, and inspiring messages online to reach a wider audience beside your peers. And you can post about community clean up event or whatever activity that you can help at your school through the social media, right? Okay, lastly, since all of you have asked me a question each, I will ask a question, and anyone who wants to answer, please raise your hand, okay? Okay, I have mentioned this earlier and discussed it with you. Is switching to renewable energy realistic to everyone? And give me your reason, okay? Yeah, go ahead, Shamira.
Hey teacher, I know this answer. Okay, personally, from my perspective, I think it may not be so realistic for everyone because it may not be affordable or accessible for everyone, but supporting clean energy policies, just like choosing green energy options when available and promoting renewable initiatives in our communities are practical way anyone can contribute. So I think that's from my opinion.
Yeah, that's really sum up our presentation today, and all of you seems to be so focused. Okay, and thank you for listening, everyone. See you next time. Bye bye.